So guys, do you see a lot of bad news on social media?
Yeah, we're seeing lots of stuff about like violence against women and kids, lots of domestic violence.
With the housing crisis and everything, there's a lot to take in and it's quite overwhelming.
So I definitely do see a lot of bad news and fake news on social media. I think it's a very negative space.
Yeah. Definitely about the election. The US election.
Policing. A lot of bad media around policing has been kind of flaring up the past few years.
I do see a lot of bad stuff. A lot of stuff have been disturbing images from war, such as the Palestine war.
It can be hard looking at social media all the time and it's constantly bad news, so you just want to flip your phone over, go to bed.
Social media is clearly not always a happy place, but could constantly scrolling through bad news on here be giving us an existential crisis?
Yeah, I mean, that's what our data suggested. So the more that you're seeking out this kind of negative news in a way that maybe you're not having kind of thoughtful control over, the more it was associated with what we talked about as existential anxiety. That is a kind of a sense in which life maybe isn't very meaningful. I think we can all relate to that kind of experience of turning on the news and just feeling like the world was going to pieces. And this is what we kind of showed.
In a world-first study, Professor Emma Thomas and a team of Aussie researchers wanted to find out how doom scrolling, or spending a lot of time looking at upsetting news on social media, could impact how young people view the world. We're talking news about wars and conflicts, terrorism, violence, and other kinds of social and political content that might be distressing. What researchers found out is that both groups in the study, that's more than 800 uni students from the US and Iran, reacted the same way, by feeling like life is more meaningless. But they also said they felt more negative about humanity in general.
Yeah, so our study also showed that the more that people are engaging in this doom scrolling behaviour online, the more they reported higher levels of misanthropy, which is a general kind of dislike and distrust of humans. The more you're agreeing with statements like humans are fundamentally corrupt or humans are fundamentally not to be trusted.
And while this research didn't include Australians, experts say exposure to a whole lot of bad news on social media is likely having the same impact on young people here.
Part of it's about the access to news and like the sort of the social media feed and sort of getting caught up in it can be hard to disconnect from that. But part of it's also about there's a lot going on in the world that young people are worried about.
I definitely think social media can create a false reality where all humans are bad. You know, just thinking that everyone is horrible, it's not a good thing.
Even like getting worried about like what the world is like coming to and all that kind of stuff. Like being worried about what their adult life is going to look like.
Like how are things going to be in the next 10, 15 years? We don't know. It's scary.
Some of them might already be struggling to live day to day. Some people might struggle paying for rent, food, etc. And then they get bombarded with like bad news on the internet. And it kind of just makes a person think, man, I am living in a really bad world right now.
Feeling like life is meaningless can take a toll when it comes to mental health and general well-being. While a lack of trust in other humans can also cause some other issues down the line, like becoming wary of institutions like the government, feeling fearful of other people in the community, or even being more likely to believe in things online that aren't true.
We might believe, well, the world's not a safe place, or other people aren't to be trusted or might be dangerous to me.
The more cynical and mistrustful you are about the world, which is kind of partly what these things are assessing, the more you are probably more likely to be susceptible, ironically, to things like conspiracy theories, which provide alternative explanations.
Are you saying, though, that young people just shouldn't engage with bad news? You know, should we just surround ourselves with happy news and ignore everything bad in the world?
I am 100% not saying that, Amelia. Like, I think it is very important for young people especially to be politically engaged. I guess there are other ways that you can engage in ways that are productive, but also protect your well-being.
So what can we do to protect ourselves from too much bad news?
Having times of day when you do switch off and you do other things, particularly if those other things can be things that are positive for your mood, and potentially to look for ways to respond in ways that will be empowering. Getting involved in, you know, advocacy and sort of looking at groups that are taking action. When you are on social media as well, it's important to think about what you're viewing. So it might be that there's particular sources that are more likely to be distressing to you. If it's not working for you, then try something different.
Yeah, definitely like social media detoxes can really help with your mental health, or just relying a bit more on your friends, like filling yourself with more like positive experiences.
The bad isn't really that much compared to the good in the world, but a lot of media kind of focus on the bad. So maybe picking up a bit more media literacy. I saw a few studies recently saying how media literacy in our generation is kind of going down a bit.
And like as cringy as it may sound, like talk to your family, talk to like your teachers and whoever is like influential in your life.
Don't get yourself too involved with what you're looking at, or it's gonna ruin you mentally for the rest of your day or beyond. You just try to look for something more positive.
Shut off social media, go watch some cat memes, that's the best stuff.
I agree.